right, here we go. We're recording another episode of the Individual Skills Hockey Podcast. I'm your host, Miles Deeth, and we're so lucky to be joined by Kurt Davis, former Trojan, all the way over in Germany. Kurt has played professional hockey since what year, Kurt? How long have you been playing pro?
Since 2012. So this is like my 13th season.
13th season, and then before that, you were a standout at Minnesota State Mankato. And then before that, like I said, a standout with Wayzata Trojans. We'll get into all that. But thanks for doing this, Kurt. I know it's late over there. You probably just put your daughter to bed, sounds like.
Yep. Yeah, no problem. It's awesome. Finally get on here. I know we've been kind of going back and forth, but of course, find some time.
Yeah, so I kind of wanted to start with your Trojan days. And the reason I kind of want to talk about this is, in my opinion, your kind of core group that came through, at least in high school, in a lot of ways set the foundation for all the success that we're enjoying now, in my opinion. So just talk a little bit about kind of the success you guys had at Pee Wee and Bantam and what it was like to play on such talented teams with so many good athletes.
Yeah, looking back, I mean, we had some good teams. It's hard for me to remember so far back, but I can remember Bantam A's. I mean, we were really good. We had that unreal season where we won the state. And then we were able to go to the Silver Stick. We won that. We were able to get a bid to the National Silver Stick in Atlanta, I think it was, and we won that. And it's just, we had so much success. But yeah, because our team was so good. Looking back, there was like 5 or 6 D1 athletes that came off that team, and hockey players, probably 4 or 5, with a couple football guys. There were guys that ended up playing football. But yeah, I mean, we were just talented. I'm not really sure why, but we had a great group of guys.
Yeah.
Like,
so you mentioned, you mentioned that Silver Stick tournament, and the banner is still hanging in Pick A. And I think a lot of people see that and they have like no idea what that means, but that was a big deal. So can you explain like what the Silver Stick was?
Yeah, I mean, it was like the mid-year tournament in Minnesota that all the best teams tried to get to and play. I know it was in Minnesota, and then it became regional, and then it became the whole states. And if you won your region or your state, you were able to move on. And yeah, I don't I don't know. Is the Silver Stick still going on these days? Like, is that a thing?
I don't think so. I don't think
know
so.
what it's comparable to now, but yeah, I mean, it was like the in-season tournament that it was bragging rights. It was kind of prove who's the top teams around, and before the state tournament, of course, it was just, I think, middle of the year. And anyway, after after we won that, we were able to go to Atlanta, and I don't even know what our expectations were, but we ended up winning that, and it was pretty legendary. And yeah, like, we had Blake Wheeler on the team. That's a big name. And Dom Barber, James Laurinaitis, myself, and then a bunch of other players that were really good, just good athletes. And a couple played D3 hockey or junior hockey. I mean, we just had a good group, and yeah, it was pretty legendary. It's funny you say that the banner's still up, and I see it every summer now. He's bugged the boys, hey, do you guys know what that is? And yeah, no one has an idea.
Yeah, so I kind of bring it up, and I mentioned it, like your group sort of in a lot of ways set the foundation for all the success, because personally myself, I was a squirt, and a peewee, I think, when you were in high school, and just remembering like seeing Don Barber and James Laurinaitis walk through the front door and go to the locker room. It's like, oh my gosh, these guys are athletes, and they're huge guys, and they're big. And so who are some of, like, do you remember any of the guys that came before you maybe at Wayzata that you kind of looked up to?
Um, yeah, I mean, there was a bunch of guys actually. It was cool for me because my dad was a coach, so I always got to look up to all the high school guys. And um, but yeah, there was a bunch of guys that moved on to play D1. I mean, I remember watching like a guy named Mark Nenovich. He played at the U. Hussey, he went to Wisconsin and he played in the show a bit. And, um, yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of guys. It's hard to say. I mean, I was so young too, but I was in awe as well, looking up to these guys and seeing them. And it's just incredible that.
Yeah. So you mentioned obviously Barber and Laurinaitis playing the NFL. Um, Talk a little bit about kind of when you played in high school, what the situation was with multi-sport athletes. Were kids specializing just in hockey back then, or did you have a lot? Obviously, those two played football at high level, but just talk about a little bit more of the other guys on what um, sports they may have played and kind of how that was in that time.
Yeah, I think everyone was trying to play as many sports as they could at the time. I don't think that. I mean, obviously, you focus on your main sport. For me, it was hockey. Um, in the fall, I played hockey for the Elite League, winter hockey, but then I played baseball in the spring. But yeah, I know a bunch of other guys played football, and it was accepted. It was cool, I think, to be a multi-sport athlete. You know, you didn't have too much pressure to focus on one sport. Like, hey, you gotta pick hockey now. I think it was accepted, and it should be because I mean, being a multi-sport athlete, it's so beneficial, like in so many areas of the game. Even being playing football or baseball and bringing some of those tactics over with you into the team sport of hockey, like it helps. So I mean, for me, I always played multiple sports, and I would always tell other people to stick with it if they can. Obviously, if you want to focus on one, that I mean, that more power to you. But try to do more than one, just because it helps all around, just competitiveness and learning.
Yeah. And especially those football guys, like I can imagine, I mean, they went on some state runs back in that day and they were probably a little bit slow to get up to speed in your hockey season, but obviously, I mean, you look at a guy like Joey Miller who ended up did picking hockey to pursue after high school. Um, he was a high level football player in high school, and that didn't seem to affect his success in producing points for the Trojans for you guys. So
Yeah, for sure.
yeah. All right, so let's move on to so you post high school you go to Green Bay, correct?
Yep.
In the USHL, and talk a little bit about how you chose Mankato and what that recruiting process was like.
Yeah. Well, I started in Waterloo. I didn't really get a great opportunity, and then ended up moving to Green Bay, and yeah, opportunity and timing came together, and I was able to find some success there. My second year of junior, started getting uh, some more looks from colleges, like more major teams, I would say. I mean, I always had interest from a bunch of teams, but some of the bigger D1 hockey programs, started calling, and had a great second year junior. And um, yeah, Mankato, they just uh, they just showed up one game and started chatting with them, and didn't really think a whole lot of it, and this uh, just started developing more and more communication. Started taking visits at some schools, and they were one of them. And with the options I had, Mankato was a no-brainer. I mean, it was a huge hockey school, the only D1 sport, um, close to home for the family, but still far enough away where you kind of feel like you get away a little bit. And yeah, I mean they were in the WCHA at the time. That was like the powerhouse league of college hockey, and um, it was my best option, and it was an easy decision for me. And with the past history in my family, my dad played there, so that was pretty epic that I was had a chance to go there. And yeah, my mom went there, my brother went there, so it's like it was pretty funny.
Yeah. I'm gonna back up actually because you mentioned your dad, and I wanted to ask you what it was like to play high school for your dad. Was that difficult at times, or was it not that big of an issue?
Yeah, I don't think it was a big issue for me at at the time. I just was trying to enjoy hockey and playing. I think he treated me fair and everyone pretty fair, that it wasn't a big deal. But I know some people probably thought it was, or thought I was getting a little extra treatment. But that's just kind of the pecking order in hockey. If you're one of the better players, you're going to get more opportunity, a little bit more focus from the coaching staff, and get some, yeah, get the benefits, I guess, of that. But I mean, he was fair. He knew my group of friends, like growing up on every team, PUA, Bantam A. We all came up together. There was a core of us that made it sophomore year, and um, yeah, I would say he was fair. It was awesome for me though. I mean, I loved it, and yeah, I never had any issues with it. I'm sure some players and parents did, but that's just how it goes with competitive sport like that.
Yeah. Well, I think you were lucky. It was, I mean, you were one of the better players, obviously. So there was not, I'm sure, a whole lot of questioning going on about ice time and opportunities. So yeah. All right. Well, so you finish up your career at Mankato. Let's move on to kind of some professional hockey stuff. Where did you go first, and did you always know that you were going to have such a long pro career? And what was your early kind of mindset with that?
Yeah, I was just kind of enjoying life at Mankato. Had a couple good seasons, and then I had a opportunity to go to Washington's development camp, and so I did that one summer. It was a great experience. Once that happened, I kind of had the thought in my mind that, well, maybe I can keep playing after college. We'll see how this goes. If I can keep playing at a high level and get some interest, maybe I'll get a chance. And then yeah, when my career at Mankato was over, um, I wanted I wanted to play in the American League or even in the East Coast League, but I had an opportunity in Sweden right away, and at that time, that was that was before all the small defensemen, skating, puck moving guys were like a thing, and no one, everyone kind of shied away. No one really wanted that type of player yet, and now I feel like there's a couple on each team now, so
Yeah.
that's cool to see. But at the time, I didn't have a whole lot of interest in North America, so I had the chance to go to Sweden. I took it right away just because I was advised by people that, hey, you're gonna love it. There's a lot of big ice sheets, a lot of room to skate. I skate pretty decent. I'm not the best skater, but I'm not the worst. And so if you can skate and read the game well, you're going to have success going over there. So I I took a chance, and yeah, it worked out. Like I said, I'm on my 13th year over here, and yeah, it's been great. I've had a lot of good years. I've been on some really good teams. I mean, you hear some guys go pro in Europe, and there's just some horror stories. And thankfully for me, I've never come across anything like that. I've kind of been lucky, and with the organizations I've been to, so it's been a great experience,
Yeah.
and
So you mentioned you're an undersized defenseman. They were they're in style now, and they probably weren't as much back in the late 2000s. Um, what would your advice be to, let's say, a high school defenseman that's a little undersized? We have one right now on the Trojans that's pretty undersized. What's your advice for a kid like that trying to get an opportunity at the next level? Does he have to play a certain style? Does he have to add more offense? Does he have to like show that he's not afraid of contact? What would be the main points of advice for kids like that?
yeah, I mean, it's it's hard being one of the smaller guys because you're going to get bumped around a little bit. So yeah, you got to be able to take some more hits and take that contact, and just I think I've noticed, like, to not have really a panic button. Try to have be cool and collective when you get time with the puck, or even under pressure. Like, no panic. Just try to have that confidence, poise with the puck. And yeah, I mean, you got to be able to skate and read the game too. All the small little skills, and but I think just reading and understanding the game, no panic, and being able to handle the puck and just make plays.
Yeah. So related to that, I'm curious on kind of your training as a youth player coming up through high school, maybe even junior. What were some things that you enjoyed working on that you're glad that you did, that kind of you credit to your success now? Was there any specific things you did at practice or in the off season or anything like that?
Um, I don't know. I think baseball helped a lot with my hand-eye coordination, not just like tipping pucks. So you think of that, but just anything in general. Pucks coming at you fast, and you being able to react. And um, but I don't know if there's anything specifically that I can think of that really kind of put me over the edge. And I know, growing up, I did a lot of acceleration. Minnesota was skating on the treadmill, and because I wasn't really a good skater when I was younger, I was a little bit slower and still trying to develop into my body. A little bit of a late bloomer, but yeah, I think just skating, it it kept me in it, kept me irrelevant, and I was there. Um, and yeah, like I said, I'm not the best skater, but I'm not the worst. So as long as you can kind of uh, hide within the pack, it was.
Well, the other thing too that I have always thought, and this has always been a theory, like somebody that does struggle a little bit with skating and maybe is a little bit undersized is forced to develop elite hockey sense, which in my opinion you have. So like those things kind of go together, and like you said, if you can just survive in that area and skate well enough, you can start to develop that hockey sense and learn how to play the game. Do you agree?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. And I know, I was lucky enough to have a sport court growing up. I remember logging a lot of hours during the days and nights, just chilling on the sport court, probably working on my hands, going through these stick handling circuits. I know that was huge, and that's kind of where I developed a lot of my skills with puck handling. And so that's one thing I do remember, and kind of that took me to the next level, was being able to handle the puck since I wasn't the best skater.
Yeah.
But yeah,
So you've Been in Europe for a while, obviously. You played in Norway, Austria, I think, Germany, Sweden, you mentioned. Probably missed a couple, but playing with so many European players, has there been anything you noticed that they train differently or they focus on things at a younger ages? I don't know if you had any exposure to like youth hockey in Europe, but what are some things that maybe they do differently than us in the States?
Yeah, I think it's different in every country. It's very similar, but like it's just tweaked a little bit in their own version. So I remember when I went to Sweden, I mean, they love their off ice training, tons of running, tons of gym, like you name it, they do it. They're elite athletes on and off the ice. Now, playing in Germany for a while now, I would say, yeah, of course, they do a lot of off ice training too, but not nearly as much as it was in Scandinavia. Um, they do a lot of weights here, do a lot of weights, a lot of some plyometrics, I would say, um, but not a whole lot of running. And no hockey guys who don't like to run that much, so I kind of like it here. But yeah, I mean
What
the
about
training.
practice? Like, what's a European practice look like compared to a North American practice? Is there any differences there?
A lot of flow, a lot of flow. The drills, like continuous drills. You're always moving, and there's more than one part to the drill. So that's one thing I kind of noticed is there's multiple parts to a drill and a lot of continuous drills, and it's pretty cool because it keeps you moving. You're not standing around, and you got to think a little bit too.
Yeah. All right. So, we can get close to wrapping it up here, but I wanted to ask you about your involvement with Wayzata STP. You've been a STP instructor since, I don't know, probably '07, '06.
Yep,
Yeah.
sounds right.
Yeah. So that's quite a long time. So just talk about what that's meant to stay involved in Wayzata in the summers, training the high school age kids.
Yeah, I mean, I love coming back in the summer and getting on the ice with Wayzata STP. Like when my dad was coaching, um, as soon as I graduate, he always gave me the option to come back and help out. And ever since then, I've been doing it every year. When Pat took over and you guys started doing it, and I've always had the opportunity to come back and help out. It's been amazing. I love doing the STP with the high school because of the higher level. The guys a little bit better at hockey, understand the game, like to think the game, kind of similar to the way I do. And it's fun for me because, yeah, I mean, it's sort of a job, but not really because I'm out on the ice, dangling, getting to touch the puck, thinking hockey. You know, everyone else is in their off season mode, and I'm kind of still got got the focus in hockey. So it's like it's been great for me to kind of get the edge over the next guy coming into the next season because I've been able to think hockey for the last 2 months or whatever during the summer when everyone else is kind of taking a break. I'm kind of staying ahead of the game. So it's been good because of that aspect and being able to like train, especially some of these last years, getting older. All the guys I grew up with training in the summertime have either gone their separate way or are done playing. So it's been nice for me to stay on the ice and stick with it.
Nice. Um, I don't know if you know this. I just had to throw this in there, but we do like a senior like questionnaire for senior night leading up to senior night. And one of our players this year, Jake Matson, One of the questions was, "What's your favorite pro hockey player?" And he said Kurt Davis. So that's just, I mean, it's funny, like, right, like that's funny, but like it also, like, these guys are looking up to you as a Trojan that's had such a long career. So I think it's really cool.
Yeah, I saw that on Instagram. It made me laugh. It was pretty special, actually, and yeah, it's cool. I mean, I don't really know if those guys uh, understand like that I'm still playing at a high level over here because it's not the NHL or AHL, and but yeah, it's a big deal over here, and yeah, I'm glad that someone follows me, and it's pretty cool to see that you know they like.
Well, yeah, and the other thing I wanted to say and make sure I got in here is, like, being on the ice with you at STP, you can tell that you love hockey, which is why you've had such a long career. But like the way you jump into drills and jump into 2-on-2 with any skill level group that we have, um, I think is really cool. So like that speaks to loving hockey is going to lead to success, I think.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's definitely helped. And I enjoy getting in line with those guys. It's amazing, and and the compete level we bring it to sometimes, especially when we're not wearing gear. It gets pretty intense.
All right. Well, last question for you. What's next? You have a daughter. You have a young daughter. How long do you want to keep playing?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna keep playing as long as I can, as long as my body allows it, as long as someone wants me on their team. I've had some good years lately. I'm actually having a really good year this year. I'm 37 years old, so everyone says I'm the old guy now, which is fine. But even if I don't feel that way, yeah, I want to keep playing as long as I can. It would be cool to play to 40. Hopefully, maybe even past that. We'll see. I want to stay and be competitive. I don't want to just be the old guy that can barely keep up anymore. Um, I want to make a difference and make an impact on the ice when I'm there. And yeah, it's been going good. Been on some good teams. On a really good team this year. So had a lot of success. Our team's in first place. We won the regular season. Um, and the regular season's coming to a wrap right now. Um, Leading the league in D in scoring. It's been an unreal year. I've had tons of puck luck, but thanks to being on a good team helps. And yeah, we our main goal this year is to try to move up to the next league. That's how it works in Germany. We got the relegation and the promotion going on here, and our the organization I've been with now for 2 years has kind of been on this 3-year plan to try and move up. Last year we lost in the finals, and this year, yeah, we're trying to make sure that that doesn't happen again. So it's been a great year, and we're hoping for a big win and a promotion. And if that happens, with the year I'm having, I gotta think I got a chance to come back and keep playing. So
Well, awesome. Good luck to you and the squad. Thanks for doing this again, and text me when you're back so we can start playing some golf.
yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me. I look forward to coming back. But like I said, hopefully not for a while. Till mid-May after a little championship win, and yeah, hit the links and get going with STP again. I'm excited
Nice. All right. Thanks a lot.
for sure, buddy.